Hello everyone, my name is Mirna. On behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today we have the great pleasure of having with us Nicolas Apelt. Nicolas is a public speaker and a published author of Argentinian origins, and we are going to be talking with him about uncertainty, how to be okay and leave behind that need of control. But before starting with Nicolas, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet. You can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, when we live stream, we have an active chat. It's the screen you see here on my side or under the video. In case that you're following us from a smartphone, and through there you are more than welcome to interact with us. We won't delay this any further, and we have the great pleasure of introducing Nicolas. Nicolas, welcome to Mindalia. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Greetings from Argentina.
And greetings from Florida to wherever people are watching us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Nicolas has been with Mindalia in Spanish, and it's been successful live streamings, so we wanted to share this information also in English. Tell me a little bit about you, Nicolas. So, among other things, we were talking that you are of Argentinian origin. You live in Argentina, actually, right? And that you were the youngest radio host in the history of at least Latin America, right? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, that was crazy. Since I was 7 years old up to I was 14 years old, I used to lead some radio programs, radio shows. I had 7 years old, and I used to have an audience like between 250,000, 3,000 people, 300,000 people, and it was this synchronicity that we speak about. That it's not something that you look for. It has to do with this that we're going to talk about, not controlling, uncertainty, and everything. That whenever it has to be on your way, it becomes on your way. And I remember that I was calling on the radio, and I was doing some questions, and I answered all the questions correctly. So I went to the radio to get my prize. And when I was having my prize, I was talking, and one of the companies that asked me to do some advertising. And just like that, by having 7 years old, I was just playing. I didn't know I was working or doing some radio or hosting or anything like that. I just started to do my own program, and it was crazy. Like you never look for that.
It happened naturally. You were just allowing things to happen. You were having fun. Zero stories of kid being exploited or anything like that. You were just having the time of your life. And after that, you of course grew up and went to school and did many other things. And now you are a published author. You dedicate your life to personal growth, spiritual growth more than personal, and you are very into metaphysics. So if someone that is looking at us at this moment doesn't know what metaphysics is, because for us it's very normal, we talk about it every time, but for those who don't know what metaphysics is, can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, okay. From my point of view, sometimes I'm like the weird guy in metaphysics, because I like to go to use the science a lot. Neuroscience is do experiments, physical experiments, mechanical experiments, because sometimes when we think about metaphysics, we think about Saint Germain, we think about how to use the colors or the words or the decrees, something like that. The way I used to get close to metaphysics is talking about the 7 laws of the Kybalion, or the 7 laws of the universe, how they call it. Like mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, all those laws that you know. So what I would say that metaphysics is what it's before matter. Yeah, this world, this three-dimensional world we live in, it's made out of matter. Myself is made out of matter, but there has to be an idea of Nicholas before becoming Nicholas. And I think that that's metaphysics. What's before the idea that's before that matter? It's like going from the subtle to the matter. That's the like the path. And I want to know what's behind. So because if we know the rules of what's behind, then we can know how to create using our consciousness.
I love it. I guess we are
Mm-hmm.
very lucky people that we got to, be in this world, this incarnation in which finally
Mm-hmm.
science is meeting with the esoteric and the mystic. The way I
Totally.
see it is that before, yes, they had all these ideas, but they didn't, since we didn't develop anything similar with our hands, with like instruments that we could count and prove, they had to use very, very subtle language, very romantic and very
Totally.
symbolic message. But they were, doing nothing but explaining principles that now science can explain because they have the tools and the resources to do it. And well, finally we're coming together.
Yeah.
We're happy
Yeah.
to be,
Totally.
in this time, and in a time in which we can talk about it openly without being burnt on a
Yeah,
stake,
no
right?
problem. And we are not even seeing like let's not talk about like being on a fire. Just 10 years ago, where you were seen as crazy people. Now it's even cool, right? It's going on the other polarity. It's going on the other way, but it's okay. We rather prefer that it has that it's cool because it's cool to have good habits as well. So it doesn't matter if it gets cool. Um, but it's good like not to be seen as a crazy guy or that you cannot live on having a normal job doing your daily life, that it has to do with that as well.
Or probably people still think we're crazy, but we don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care that much about it anyways. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well, they think I'm crazy, but yeah, I can live with that.
for sure. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about uncertainty. So that is the topic that we wanted to talk a little bit about today.
Hmm.
And what is the benefit of living in uncertainty? We are in a society in which we want to measure, we want to know, we want to see what the weather channel has for us, if it's gonna rain, if it's gonna be dark, if it's everything. We want to predict and we want to have everything under control. Not my
Yeah.
case. I don't even own an umbrella. It doesn't matter if it rains on me. I stop caring about it. But yes, the society is predominantly wanting to know and have everything under control, and your approach is different. Like, you know what? It's not that important. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. It's not also that important. It's a fantasy to think that we have control. It's that we are being sold like day to day that there's a chance to control anything, and there's no chance to control anything. So when we accept the idea that nothing has the chance or the power to be controlled, then you realize that you have lived in a fantasy all this time. And but it's understandable that we live that way because most of our thinking and the way we structure our beliefs and the way we see the world is like um it's like in bed, like it has a lot of fear on it. So since we are all of the time thinking through fear, the only tool that fear has to survive is trying to control what can kill you, what can be of some kind of problem from you in the future. So always control has to do with the mind going in the future, um, having a fear related to that future. And so he starts to do like some strategies to not see not be how can I say it, to not to materialize, not to materialize that fear, right? It's something basic like whenever you go to an interview and your mind goes to the future, uh, most most of your thoughts related to that interview would be, I'm going to speak well. Like my language is going to be understood. Like I'm going to pick the right words to say it. It's the other one. It's the other person that it's on the other side is going to understand. And if you measure all the amounts of negative thoughts we throw to the future, against those positive thoughts that, oh, I'm so lucky that we are sharing this time together, that we are knowing each other, that we are expanding these seeds around the world. Most of the thoughts we have and the beliefs we have are made with fear, and that fear leads us to control. So we are not trying to live, we are trying to survive. So whenever we are trying to live not on our certainty, we're trying to survive, and we are getting our life limited. Like, we make our life shorter every day just by being reacting all the time to life, but not living it. Yeah. And the other thing that I see is that each of us have a vibratory level. Yeah. Like, I mean, for example, let's suppose, I'm inventing this example, that I can vibrate in 5. Let's put a number on it. So whenever my consciousness is changing, like it's going from 5 to 6, my mind doesn't know how 6 works. So whenever my mind is bringing changes to my life, what my mind says is, okay, I cannot control what is coming because I don't know how this new life works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close every door for you not to change, because I'm not going to be able to control it. So it's not only a fantasy that we can control it, but it's also self-defense from the mind, uh, to stop dying, because the mind thinks that she will be dead. It will be dead, if a new thought comes, if a new belief is born. Some part of it has to die, and it's not going to accept it so easily.
I understand. So basically, our mind is a software for survival while we are
Yeah,
using this body, right? So the mind wants to have everything under control because it traces a path, it traces a blueprint of what we're going to be doing. I love the
exactly.
example you said about the job interview, because it actually happens. You're driving to your job interview and you are talking and you are creating conversations in your mind like, oh, this is going to be like this, and then I'm going to be offered coffee. And what happens when you get to the office and it isn't even the way you imagined? It's
Mhm.
nothing like you thought it was going to be happening. Then the mind boycotts itself because it was working on a blueprint that is not what you're seeing. So that is
Totally.
where we are supposed to insert that principle of uncertainty. What happens when we open to uncertainty?
Well, what happens is that at the beginning you get totally lost. I can see like different stages. One of the stages that we have to go through before uncertainty, it's called void. It's like we experience. Uh, it doesn't matter if we consciously look for that, or we got to that point by I consciously, but there's a point on our life when we meet this void. This void, it's a timeline in your life where the life you have lived up to now, it doesn't fulfill you. Is you look back and you say, okay, I don't want to live this way anymore. I know that I don't want to have a couple like this, or communication like this. My economy, I don't want to be this way, because I know now that we work differently, that I can create my reality. So you look in the back and you know what you don't want. But in this void, when you look to the future, it is impossible for you to put a form on the future. So if someone would ask you, okay, where are you at? You would say, I am what I know, what I don't want to be, but I do not know what I want to go. But I have a feeling, I have something that tells me that this should be different. So at that point, I think that's the breaking point on our life, the void. And most of us, we fail on that void, because it's one of the scariest moments in our life, because there's no place to hold on to. You cannot hold on to an idea on the future, and you cannot hold on to an idea on the past. And that gets frightening, yeah, because you experience being on the nothingness, right? So I think that the only way, there's two ways to go through that void, is to accept that there's no way to have control on that they accept that there's no way to have control on the future. this doesn't mean that you can think or picture your future or imagine how you wanted a picture, but you're not going to be able to put a form on it. You're going to say, I want to dedicate my life to the service, to the other, but I don't really know how to do it. Okay, so that allows you to start living on uncertainty. Uncertainty is accepting that the universe is limitless, and you have plenty of options, but you have to choose one. You cannot have all the options all at once. So in order to choose, what I do, at least that it is good for my life, I use signs. Yes. So I design a path or a way of signs to self-communicate with myself, like my truth self, my inner self. So for example, my sign is a hummingbird. Yeah. And I can like tell you a quick story so you can understand this what I'm talking about. I worked for 10 years in human resources, yeah, for big companies, yeah, American companies, European companies. There was a point of my life where I had a good position. I had my house, my car, my bike, everything. Like everything was perfect as I wished before, yeah, as my mind always dreamed about. But I was starting to feel inside myself, I'm not feeling happy anymore. Like every time I get in the car and go to my work, I'm having this thought that I don't want to go. Like I'm not having a good time there. Like I'm wasting my time. So there comes a crisis where you don't know what you don't want. And I was saying, okay, but what am I going to do? I know that I want to speak. I know I want to talk about this universe and how it works. So I got really scared, and I tried to quit to my job 3 times. The 3 times that I tried, I failed because I was so scared to do it. What happened? Every time I thought about quitting, what my mind told me is you're gonna be hungry. You're not going to live to continue having the life you have or you build up to now. Nobody is gonna listen to you. Who would even wanna go to a retreat with you, something like that. Those all the thoughts that your mind has on the future.
Again, that's the mind being the software for survival of your physical body. Are you
Totally.
gonna have shelter? Are you gonna have food in the fridge?
Totally. It's a prehistoric way of thinking, but it's a way we are built up to. So I knew what I didn't want anymore. I knew the fear that the future was bringing me, but I have a feeling in the middle that it's also, okay, I'm dying anyway. That's what I was telling myself. I'm dying every day on this way, and at least if I'm trying what comes in the future, I will die, but trying. But that was enough for me. That didn't give me enough courage. So the first time that I go on this void, I tried to get out of this void. I tried to quit to my job. They offer me more money. So that's the universe saying, okay, you're sure you want this? And that's the mind. The mind has the power to create more stability. So I say, okay, don't worry, you have more money. Now the fear of having less money in the future, it's even bigger, because if I was used to $10,000 and now I have 20, that's even worse for building the future. So, okay, I lost my first game. Like I lost it. Like I stayed like for 6 more months. Then after that, I say, okay, this is enough for me. I'm going to quit again. And I had a meeting with my boss, and she was telling me, I'm pregnant. I need you to cover me, please. This is very important. You can come wherever you want. You can go wherever you want. And like, just don't tell anybody. So I have this job that they paid me really good money, that I can like go like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., leave work like 3 or 4, like no rules. No rules for me. And I say,
She
okay,
trusted you. She trusted that
yeah,
you were gonna be doing what you needed to do regardless of the schedule.
totally. And I did it. But this is the funny question. No, I what I discovered is that the universe always have like an acid way of an acid humor. It's a funny way of bizarre way of communicating, and the message I got is look, you have the power to create a job that doesn't exist in a multinational, because there's no way that a big company allows you to have this salary and this schedule. So I'd say, okay, I know that the universe is telling me that I have the power, but I still have fear. So one night I go to sleep and I start dreaming that I was on the Peruvian jungle, and my hands were filled of hummingbirds. So I wanted to grab them, but there was an inner voice saying, you don't have to grab it, you have to let it go. Yeah. So I feel it like really vivid. It was like a really strong dream for me. Like I really pay attention to that feeling. And as soon as I wake up, I open my phone and I see a hummingbird on the background. That was crazy, unexplainable. How a hummingbird could be set up as a wallpaper. That was crazy. The first crazy thing. So I was in the void. I was in the becoming or going to the uncertainty, and there was appearing this sign. I've dreamed about the hummingbird, and I see it on the phone. So I told to myself, this is important. I have to pay attention to this. So I get to my work, and my boss comes, and she gives me a chocolate on my hand. When she gives me the chocolate, it has a big printed hummingbird on the chocolate. It was almost that was crazy. So when she gave me that on the hand, like I went silent. Yeah, I freeze like totally. And she told me, "Is everything okay? It's if anything fine? What's happening?" It's one of those things that Yeah, she told me it's one of those crazy things you do, right? And I told her, you have no idea what you have gave me. Like you have gave me a strong message. So when I look at the package, I see on the bottom that says "Made in Peru." So they brought me from Peru this chocolate, and they gave it to my hands with a hummingbird. And the message was, don't keep it, just let it go. So I went to the rooftop of the company and started meditating. And I look up to the sky, and I'm the worst metaphysic ever. Like I share metaphysics because I always do the wrong things of metaphysics. So I teach by the mistake, not by the certainty. So I remember that I looked up on the sky and I say, I know what I have to do. Okay, like I was like between angry and with a lot of fear, and I say, okay, I know what you have to do. It's clear, but I'm so scared. Like I cannot handle the way I feel it. Like yeah, I'm really suffering. I know and I comprehend that someone from the outside can see me as a crazy guy saying, okay, you were 28 years old. What are you scared about? It has to do with my programs. It has to do with my fantasies. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It was true for my system that if I quit it, my life would be the worst thing ever, right? Everything is true if the mind believes it's true. So I was suffering on the rooftop. And I say, I know that I'm pushing you, universe. I know that I will do it, but I need one more sign. Like everything was clear. So
Are you
yeah,
sure that
totally.
this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
It was really clear, but I push it. I know that hasn't. You don't have to do that, but I push it anyway. So at that time, I received a message from a friend with a picture of a hummingbird and a text underneath, and the text said, if you are trying to do changes in your life and you're afraid of your financial problems and success, this hummingbird tells you that everything's okay. So I say like, okay, thank you. I know I push a lot, but thank you. So I remember that I went down the rooftop. I grabbed my phone and I text to my girlfriend, honey, I'm going to quit. Wish me luck. And I just put the phone on the table and went to talk with my boss. And when I told her, okay, I'm going to quit, she told me, please tell me that it doesn't have to do anything with the chocolate. And it did. I said, thank you, because I own you this. And what's more beautiful about this story is that by the time my girlfriend got the message, she started hearing a bzz near her. So right here where I'm on my house, a hummingbird came to the living room where she was working. Like at the same time, I went to quit and stood and looked for her like 5 minutes. It was a crazy thing. And since that time, that hummingbird comes to my home every day at 5 p.m. So like this long story that I told you, it has to do that when you have the feeling, the inner feeling that you are drawn to do something, you feel that you have to do something on that way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to do with helping other people. If you love cars, if you love flying, if you love, I don't know, talking, but you have the feeling, the only way to create a new future is letting yourself get in the void so you can get rid of the programs of the fear and start following the signs. And once you start following the signs, you can live with uncertainty because you know that you have a way of self-communicating, and there's like a self-guidance to the future that you know you're going to meet. So it's a way to create reality without the control. And after that, 3 months after that, I started giving workshops all around, and it has been like almost 3 years since that time. And I have done workshops in 15 different countries in just 2 years and a half.
Wow. Wow.
All that fear turned out to this.
It's amazing. And of course, for what we've been talking, you are a person that you have been connected in a way with your higher self, with your intuition, and to you it's not foreign, the idea of actually living a life in which you allow yourself to be led by that gut feeling, how they call it. How can someone that has never done anything like that live very square within the grid, within the lines, that I for in my case, I like to say that if you give me a coloring book, I will be painting outside the lines all the time. I don't. I'm used to, because I was given that freedom by my parents. But in the case of someone that has never had the chance of actually deciding, they just go with, they walk the line straight. Do you have that type of people in your workshops? Because
Yeah.
we are seeing that more and more in people our age, right?
Yeah, of course, all the time. And I was that kind of person. Like I wasn't that person that even though I was in contact with my intuition, that wasn't enough for me. And that's also something important, like to say, because sometimes, yeah, we allow ourselves to feel our intuition, but another thing is to follow it or to let it go through you. So I was the type of person that sometimes I could feel it, but I was too scared to move. And most of the people know when a person comes into a session or a workshop and tells me, I don't know what to do, most of the time that's a lie. They know how to do, but they think that it's impossible to do what they think they should do or they wish to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm going to put it the other way. There are so many things that can kill us every second, every minute. Like, it's a miracle that we are alive every second, that we are alive every minute. Like, the plane I got in, it can fail. I can crash on my way to the job. I can have a new disease. Like, my organs can fail at any time. Like, I cannot even control all the things that are happening. I know I have a relationship with my body, but most of the process that I do is automatically. So the first thing that we need to know is that if we want really to control everything, that will be impossible. Because just for being alive, it's impossible to control all the things that could kill us. So I say this, that it doesn't sound so good, but it has to do with that we think that we can prepare ourselves for living more. We think that we can predict things, but that's impossible. We cannot predict anything. Like, if it's not our time, it's not our time. So that's from one side. Like, there's no way that we can do all the things on our hands to control all the different paths that can take our life away. And if we, why am I talking about dying? Because the fear of the human being is dying. After all, that's the fear. Disappearing is the most depth fear we have, like not being anymore. The other things can be handled. So the other thing that I'd say is that whenever we want to incorporate something new in our life, what we mostly do is try to think of really big ideas, really big goals, and try to go after that change. And that, for me, is a really good way to get frustrated. Because, for example, we start meditation, and you say to yourself, okay, I want to meditate 20 minutes a day, and now I'm going to do this diet, and I'm going to start doing yoga. You're going to fail. You're probably going to fail. Yeah, because all this mindset, all this blueprint you talk about, all this programming we have is to keep us on the same reality. It's the reality that makes us feel safe. So what I say is, whoever is on the other side that wants to do new things, that wants to try if their intuition is good or not, if it's working, if it's just fantasy or not, is pick something really micro, really, really tiny thing. So, for example, an intuition on if I'm thinking about a person and that person comes to my mind, like give that person a call and check with that person on a safety zone that if your intuition is working for you. So you have to try yourself with really little things, and we start saying, okay, this is not that crazy. This is happening. That person answered me that she was thinking about me. Okay, now I can acknowledge there is a quantum field, that I'm connected to everything, that I can see through a lot of possibilities. And first of all, I need to acknowledge myself that I can see it on my reality, on very tiny things. Yeah. Another thing is, for example, to pick the first thought that they're gonna have before they put their feet off the bed. That's a lot. You think that you have to do like a silent retreat on India or for 40 days or 40 years? No, just pick the first thought. That's the first way to get out of that straight line. When you see changes on your real life, you're gonna be having more courage. You're gonna be more empowered, and that is gonna allow you to go through or pick bigger goals.
I agree. I really like the idea of, and I agree with you in the fear of death, because what we fear when we're making a change is shelter and food, our own survival, and those are rooted in, staying in this body and staying in this existence. So, Nicolas, do you think that there's a technique, there is a way of, like as many paths as individuals, each person is responsible for finding their own way of evolving?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I think that there's no technique. Precisely. I think that, for example, even though I talk about the 7 laws, I know that that's a mind creation as well. That's an idea. I live with the idea that the 7 laws that I talked about are really powerful, but at the same time, I know on my inner self that they don't exist. That there's a way that I created myself to use my power. So I know that this sometimes is maybe frustrating on the other side, because the person that is listening on the other side wants me or wants you to give them a way, a recipe in order to start using the intuition, to get rid of fear. But there's no recipe. The most you can do is look some path of other people and to see what part of them reflects on yourself. The part of that people that reflects on yourself is the one that resonates with your own truth. But not everything from that person needs to resonate, because it's their own truth, it's their own way. So there's no path. Every path is correct, every path it's amazing, and there's also no need to hurry on the path, because time as well, it's something subjective. It's related to the consciousness. So if I have to say something, is if you have the idea that you have to hurry yourself, that you have to do a lot of good deeds, or illuminate yourself, or work your consciousness. If you're in a race, you're going to be pushing yourself a lot, because there's no goal. There's no finish line on this path. It's just start asking your question: which parts of your life, you see your couple, you see your bank account, you see your health, which parts of your life you're not feeling happy with, you're not feeling harmonious with, and try fixing little things on there, just step by step, day by day. And if you fix everything, on the next day you're going to lose balance, and you're going to have to fix everything again, because we live in a movement. Yeah, we live on something that it's in a continuous change.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book? I know you are a published author. You also have a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, and I've seen some of your material in Spotify. Can you tell
Yeah.
us about what you cover in your book?
Well, my book is called Reflections of a Mental Spirit. It's free on Spotify. You can listen to it both in Hispanic or English for free. And what I try to do is explain the seven laws of the universe. I explain the process of creation, because sometimes it happens when we see The Secret or the law of attraction, that we are missing a lot of links in the middle. For example, they use a lot the technique of visualizing, the technique of thinking a lot of it. But what I think about is that if you can think about it, if you can picture, you can imagine it, it would be a limit as well to the wish. Whenever you're imagining a house or a car or a couple some way, you're putting a limit to the universe. So there's a way of creating something bigger than you, that is um, through uncertainty. It's just taking away the form of the wish. It's just asking yourself, what do you want to live? Is what are you going to get when you get that thing? So if you're thinking on the house, don't think about the form of the house. It's what it's going to give you. What do you think a house will give you? It's security, what it will give you. So what your soul needs to work it's on security. So just bring security to your life. Start doing small things that start grow, make your security grow. I speak about some techniques on how to do that. And maybe you don't even need the house, or maybe you get a bigger house, bigger than you ever dream of, in a way that you don't have to effort yourself. So what I try to explain on the book is all the process from the subtle world to the matter world, and we have seven different processes, and seven laws that we need to know in order to create our reality more easily. Yeah, it's not to control reality, because sometimes we believe that, okay, since I'm a co-creator, I'm going to control everything, that the bus comes on time, that what happens to that person. No, no, no. Is to be able to live harmoniously on all that movement, that to accept change all the time, to look for change, to be part of the change. It has to do with another thing, and that gives you a lot of power, and that gives you a lot of peace, and that gives you everything you need to live. Yeah, you don't have to think on how am I going to do money, but how am I going to fulfill myself? And money comes, and health comes. Like those are the forms. Yeah, don't get lost in the world of the forms, because that's a trap for the mind. Yeah,
Exactly.
so it's up for you to listen for
I
free.
like it. And basically, for what I'm understanding, it's like maybe accepting uncertainty allows you just to flow easily through all the moving parts of our reality. And by flowing, you achieve whatever we wanted to achieve, which is just happiness, and just being it's in harmony with what our surroundings.
Mhm. Yeah, acceptance is the first thing, is the main thing we need to have, because if I am accepting myself, that I'm a co-creator, and when I am living a situation that I don't like I'm living in a place I don't like, I'm having the boss I don't like, if I do not accept the reality where I am living in, it's like going against your power of co-creation. It's like saying, okay, I believe that I can create future, but at the same time, I'm not becoming responsible for what I created. So that's something incoherent in that point. So the first thing to build up a new reality, to change, is to accept everything that surrounds in your life, your boss, your couple, your bank account, your health. Once you accept all you have created, where you're using your best. Nobody wants to suffer. Everyone wakes up in the morning saying, I want to live as better as I can. So everything we do is to be as better as we can. So when I accept that I created this, once I accept this, I can start building a new thing. If you're struggling with the things that you are living right now, you're struggling with a person, you're struggling with your body, you're struggling with anything, so you're not accepting. So if you don't accept, you don't become responsible for your power of your creation. So that's a bad start. First of all, you need to accept. Then uncertainty comes that allows you to flow. The second thing is that there's a law. The third law, it's vibration. Everything will move continuously. So there's no way of controlling a wave. There's no way of controlling something that will be moving forever. What I can do is know that the wave is coming, is know that the movement is coming, and go with the flow. For example, if I decide to have kids, I have to know that at some point of my life, they're going to leave me. So if I know that that's movement, I know that families will pass away, and I accept that movement, I'm not going to suffer. It's going to hurt, but I'm not going to suffer. And I think that's the difference that this consciousness or these 7 laws can give you. Get away the suffering, not the hurt, because life hurts, right? And it's part of the process. We come here, but I think we come here to have happiness and to be hurt sometimes, both of them. So in order to experience one another, but we can get away, we can get rid of suffering. That's important.
Thank you again. We are about to close. To wrap up, we have covered what we wanted to cover, but before leaving, how do you think the newer generations are taking this type of knowledge, this current of thought? Because we are coming from, our parents or our grandparents. The culture is work hard, struggle, kill yourself. The more you sweat, the better person you are. And our line of thought is different. We are like, let it flow. You don't need that much. You're gonna be fine. In the newer generations, and you are in Latin America, which is even, we stay like stronger with our roots. Do you feel people your age and younger craving this type of knowledge?
Yeah, I think that it's been part of their unconsciousness now. That is a good thing. There are good things on our unconsciousness. What I think is that we are changing this suffering, this struggle, this effort concept, because I think that the system sold us that if we effort a lot, if we suffer a lot, or we struggle a lot for something, we're gonna succeed. And that happened a lot in North America. Like the most you struggle yourself, the more pain you have, and that's the biggest lie ever. Because if it were like that, poor people will be millionaires, because they effort a lot, they try so hard, and they are not millionaires. So it doesn't have to with that. That's a way to keep ourselves slaves of the system. No, and the other thing is that they always try to make us believe that the only way to live is through the system. And there's a bigger economy, there's a bigger flow on the universe, there's a different mindset on the universe, that it's above this law, that it's above capitalism, communism. I don't even care if the word is it goes through capitalism or communism, because once you're on another mindset, you start to play the game with different rules. That doesn't have to do with economical rules, government rules. You're in a different game, yeah, off the grid. By saying that, it's not that everything is easier. You have more responsibilities. You have to now this eliminate the competence with another human being. That's your sister, that's your brother, that's your projection, that's a part of you, that's a reflection of yourself. So your humanity becomes to go wider. It's not only about yourself, it's not only about your growth or how you're going to make it. So what I think that is changing is that we start to take care of ourselves more easily. That's like intuitive. And obviously, one thing that goes to this side also has the opposite side. What I see on the contrary, the good thing is that they're going through following their dreams. We have like a path, a more easy path to go after our dreams. It's something that is easier for us. On the other side, what I see is like we lack frustration. So we lack toleration to frustration. That's the other side. That's something that our parents or our grandparents are masters on. They're like Zen masters on how to deal with frustration, because they didn't have food on their tables. My grandparents came running off a world war, so they know about frustration and rebuilding life again. They know it, like automatically. They lost a house, they rebuild it again. We are following our dreams, but sometimes we get frustrated more rapidly. It's like more easily, right? Because we didn't live the capacity of reconstruct ourselves. And I think that's when you do alchemy, when the adults or the generation that has brought us to this world start to follow the dreams again, start to doing what fulfills them. And when this generation, the younger generation, start to look back to their parents, to their grandparents, and start taking this capacity of rebuilding themselves, this power that they have. We have to meet both generations and get the best of them, and that will be the best alchemy. That will be doing metaphysics in order to create an harmonious society. Get rid of the concept of effort from one side, but incorporate in ourselves the capacity of creating all the time, because that's what this is about, creating all the time. There's no escape from creation. We have to create all the time until that we go.
Thank you. Before we leave, Nicolas, where can our audience find you?
I'm on my social medias, Instagram, Facebook. They can find me under my first name and last name, Nicolas Apelt. We're going to leave you there. And Spotify, it's on, you can find the audiobook, Reflection of a Mental Spirit. And I will be recording more things in English soon.
Thank you. That's great to hear that. And your audiobook is in both English and Spanish?
Yeah, it's in both.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry for my accent. I did the best I could. My native tongue is Spanish, but it was made with love.
I know. Thank you for accepting our invitation. It makes us very happy that we were able to share your ideas also, not only with the Spanish community, but with the English community. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Now, to our audience, thank you again for being with us, for allowing us to go to your homes, to your cell phones, to your computers. Thank you for sharing with us this time. This would not be possible without you. And we by now say goodbye, and until the next emission of Mindalia live streaming.